All right, ladies and gents, welcome again with another video. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys exactly the most efficient pathway to become financially free in your 20s, right? So by the end of this video, you'll know exactly on how to become financially free, meaning locationally free, time free, not stuck in a 9 to 5 job, right? But what should you expect once you finish watching this video? You will know the common mistakes people make trying to become financially free in their 20s, the different pathways people take to become financially free, and lastly, frameworks I've personally used and the timeline expectation to actually become financially free in your 20s. Right now, I'm assuming you're in your early 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, whatever 20s you're in, and you still feel like you haven't achieved financial freedom. And a little bit of context about myself: if this is your first time watching my video, my name is Elijah. In the past few years, I've generated well over six figures consistently every single year, right? Starting from 20. And again, a little bit of context about myself, right? I was not always financially free, and I grew up not in a wealthy family, right? And my parents did the best that they can. And, thank God, and I'm grateful to be in a situation where I get to help people to actually know how to get where I'm at, right? Meaning, for me, I'm able to travel wherever I want. And number two is being able to help hundreds of people do the same exact thing I'm doing right now. And I'm gonna get into that like in a couple minutes here. And then number three is, I don't really need to worry about, okay, well, what should I eat today? The basic hierarchy of like needs. So let's define first on what is financially free for everybody. So we know what we're talking about, right? So I'm gonna use my pen here. Just really no fancy editing here. It's gonna be straight up sauce. And I'm gonna share to you guys what I've done to make money online in my early 20s and different ways that I've tried, and then the fastest way and the most efficient way that I believe that if I were to start all over again, this is exactly what I would do. So first things first, we have to define first on what financial freedom looks like, or what does that even mean, right? So there first, we'll create a little triangle here first, right? So like let's say this triangle right here, there's three sections. Section is like literally is just your basic needs, right? So this is the things that you're stressing about your food, your rent, your bills, whatever. That's the basic needs that you need to cover. That bills that comes up, and eventually this is the oh, I don't know what's happened here, but this is where you're at right now. Maybe like that's roughly around basic needs. It's maybe making, I don't know, 3 to 5K a month. I don't even know, especially now this day and age, the economy, especially if you're in US, it's kind of, for lack of better words, it's a bit fucked right now. The economy, and then middle hierarchy is like let's just say, you get to do some extracurricular activities, but you have to save up a couple months. Maybe you're at like, I don't know, 6 to 8K a month over here, right? It's kind of like how much you would need realistically to be able to cover the bills, maybe go on a trip, every 2 months, one week off, whatever it is, right? And then again, if you would define a financial freedom, right? Majority would agree that financial freedom means that you get to travel whenever you want, do whatever extracurricular activities that you want, not worry about the bills, not worry about what you should, what food you're gonna eat and put in the table that day, that week, that month, not worry about bills or anything, and you get to do whatever you want, and then you have extra stuff, money to get must nice, not really necessary, but really just cool stuff. Maybe get a sports car or whatever, or I don't know, maybe give more money to the people that maybe more in need. And usually, if you're in US, and I'm assuming you're in US right now, that would cost roughly around, realistically, you're looking at 15 to 20K plus a month consistently. That's kind of like where we're at, right? So this is like in regular 9 to 5 job. That's like people who has six figure income. Maybe they're in tech industry or whatever it is. That's kind of like where it is, right? But here's the most common mistakes people make, right? On this. But actually, let me kind of break this down a little bit more. So that's kind of like the baseline of financial freedom. And again, it could be relative. Some people can say, no, financial freedom for me is I don't care if I'm making 3K a month, but I live in a different country. Maybe you live in Thailand, Philippines, third world country, tropical beach, low income, but you're earning US money. Maybe you're making 3 to 5K a month, but um, you're in a country or part of the world, right? Let's say this is the world. Maybe it's terrible world, but like this is a part of the world that you're earning US dollar and the dollar goes longer compared to US or wherever, right? Dollar is valued much more. Maybe it's like there's like a 5x to 10x multiple in terms of currency. Like that's how powerful the US dollar is. So like let's say right now you're making 35K a month, but the thing is you can't go anywhere just because you're working a regular job and you're stuck there. And if you go to a different country, then you can't really make that much. So then that means financial free in your 20s could be potentially you're just stuck at a job and you could potentially just be making 35K a month. You don't really need that much, but you just want to work remotely or whatever, right? So again, financially freedom means like it doesn't even really mean on how much money you could be making, but it's just technically, again, being able to do whatever you want and not worry about the food on the table. And sometimes if you just earn US dollar, right, without hold up, sometimes you just need to earn US dollar and move to a different country, and that's technically become financially free now, right? So just depends, right? So again, common mistakes people make when they're trying to make money, especially in their 20s, is obviously, have you ever seen someone in their 20s that become wealthy and make 15, 20K a month and they're working a regular 9 to 5 job? Probably no, right? So number one, right, the biggest mistake people try to do when they're trying to make money or become financially free in their 20s is to exchange money for your time. Let's just throw a clock here. That's a clock. If you guys can't tell, number one mistake people make, right? So is exchange money for time, right? And obviously, you will need to eventually do that when you don't have any skill set. But that's the biggest problem people make, right? So, and then number two, couple of mistakes, or honestly, one thing that I just always observe too is, again, to be honest, is biggest mistake people think is they have the wrong mindset or outlook on how to make money. So maybe like let's say point A, point B, right? They just feel like the world's outlook, right? Just different. This should be common sense if you're trying to make money, right? You just have to like, okay, well, you can't adapt the same mindset that everybody's adapting, right? You can't be part of the 90%, right? That's one of the things too. If you're trying to become financially free in your 20s. And again, I'm not saying that I'm financially free right now, but in terms of my perception and where I'm at, yes, I'm financially free. But someone who's making like millions and millions of dollars right now might not consider me financially free, but someone who's making a couple $1,000s per month will consider me financially free, right? I'm in my 20s, making roughly around 10, 15K a month right now, right? And practically, to be honest with you, I enjoy kind of like where I'm at right now, right? So I don't really need to worry about a bunch of other stuff. So right now, that's the two common mistakes people make is like exchange time for money, or maybe they exchange time for money, but the money that they get is just not enough. So meaning, for example, if you're getting paid per hour, right? If your goal is to work remotely, then you're restricted with location, but you're getting paid per hour too. Then the biggest problem that you'll have constantly is you're gonna be in this cycle. It's gonna feel like you're in a box where you're trying to make money, and your time, and then plus the bills you have is not aligning. So, which leads me to another mistakes I see a lot of people have is the money that they have does not align with the lifestyle that they have, right? So I see a lot of people working a regular 9 to 5 job or just not making the money they have. What they do is they spend it on stupid stuff that is not going to get them anywhere. For example, they would get a loan. They would get loan for a car that you know for a fact they can't afford, but they're working a job that's constrained and limited and it's capped. So that's the biggest mistake already people make, right? In their 20s. It's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna make more money. It's like, bro, you can't, you only have so much time in your hand. So the goal and the idea of this is if you want to make money financially, become financially free in your 20s, then you need to reinvest the money that you're making right now to practically work for you. So this is one of the concepts I learned from this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, right? I would recommend that Robert Kiyosaki. That book, I would recommend that book for you. Another book that I would recommend for you is Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco. Uh, those are two books I highly recommend to you right now if you haven't read or you need to start learning on how to actually manage your money right now. Because if this is what you're doing right now, where you're just working on 9 to 5, you get a loan to just look cool from the people and you chase money and to chase perception, then you're just going to be in this cycle forever, especially if you're in your 20s. The goal right now, and if you're like working a regular 9 to 5 job, is to acquire. This is what you need to do. You need to acquire skill sets that's gonna increase either your per hour, right? Increase your per hour rate, or allow money to make more money for you, right? And a lot of people, what they would do is they would just this is what they would do, right? Especially if you're in your early 20s right now. This is probably and again, it's nothing wrong with it because you're young and you want to do that, and I've done it multiple times as well. But the biggest thing that you have to do is once you make the money right now, the goal is to invest it back to either knowledge, right? Knowledge or information. And not a lot of people know this, but network. These are the three main things that you need to be focusing right now. Oh, that's kind of like a nice method average right there, kin. So you need to invest in kin, right? So knowledge, right? Information and network, right? So when I say knowledge, right, that means like, okay, well, opportunity vehicles, meaning, okay, well, what are your, books and all that stuff. So knowledge is books and all that stuff. Books, courses, or I don't know, like maybe seminars or certificates or whatever, right? So knowledge is what is it? Information. It's practically the same thing, but information would be more of like frameworks, right? So frameworks and then things. For example, it's the same thing with college. If you go to college, the idea of college is like if you go to college, then you have a higher chance to make more money, right? But here, the goal is to learn more frameworks to make more money. And the only way you can do that as well is through networks, right? So those are the things that you have to invest on. Because the more you know, and usually the time constraint and all of these things, right? So the only way to increase your income right now is either, again, work for the money, increase the hourly, and the bottlenecks is time and then people you know, right? So people you know, those are the things that's gonna help you make more money. And lastly, just kind of like your information. I don't know how to draw a brain, but it's like let's just say this is a brain. That's a brain right there. Right? This kind of revolves like this, right? So this is the things that you need to work on to increase your income, right? It's get more time back to you, no more people to do business with, and then you need to become someone who is of value, as someone who has, information, knowledge, or, likability for people to work with in exchange of their own business, right? So those are the things that you have to like work on first. And now let's talk about different pathways, right? So again, now that you know the common mistakes people make to become financial free in their 20s, now let's talk about pathways. So what are the common pathways people take, right? So I've already told you guys this, but here in a couple of seconds, I'll show you exactly what I've done and my favorite pathway to take if you're a complete beginner, right? So number one, again, right, you can either start a business. There's only two ways to start a business, right? It's either you sell a service, right, or you sell a product. So service, which could be mean, what I'm doing right now, which is coaching and consulting, right? So that's a service. Marketing, right? Helping a business, right? Then that's considered a service. Window cleaning, door to door, that's a service. Now, you have an idea of product. You sell a phone, like that'll help them more convenient for people, or a shoe, maybe as a reselling or whatever. That's considered a product. Those are two ways that you could do this, right? And there's a lot of ways to skin the cat here. But now we have to consider, okay, well, what are the things that you could do? Well, for me personally, I'll show you what I've done, and here's how we're gonna rank them down, right? So we're gonna rank them down with timeline on how long it takes, the earning potential, and then the difficultiness of each things. So, and actually, let me do this. And the vehicle that I used or tried to get to where I'm at, right? So, let me do this. Okay, so just like you, I've invested thousands and thousands of dollars into information, so you don't have to do all these things, and I'll show you exactly my findings for that. So number one, right after I graduated high school, I did drop shipping. So I invested it into an e-com mentor, and I did that. So e-commerce is practically selling a product, right? And here's the thing a lot of people don't get. Here's a principle that I want to share to you guys that was extremely valuable for me, that guided me throughout when I started this journey in entrepreneurship, right? So, which is, the grass is never greener on the other side, right? It may seem that it looks like it, but you have to understand that you'll always need to pay your ignorance debt, right? Meaning ignorance debt is you don't know what you don't know, right? So one of the principles Ray Dalio had on his book called Principles is you have to admit as a human that the two things that stops humans growth and getting to their potential is their ego, and number two is they just inherently don't know what they don't know. That's why, again, if you were to notice the most successful people and in their early 20s and why they always preach, okay, you need to have your own circle, your net worth, right? And if someone's saying that, oh, you have to be a sigma male, do it by yourself, lone wolf, whatever, that's a bunch of crap. It's not. You're not just gonna get there by yourself, right? I have yet to see someone who's gotten to a position of, financial freedom, location freedom, time freedom by just doing it all by themselves. Never, not a single one. And if you've seen someone, I guarantee you, I'll literally Venmo you $1,000. I have not yet to see someone who's done everything by themselves, right? And because again, if you would look at it, the concept, the idea of like, oh, you have to do everything yourself and you can become successful. Well, who are you going to do business with, right? Who's going to keep you accountable, right? Because willpower can only take you so much as well, right? Willpower is good, but the times when it's hard, right? If you were to look at even the single sports out there, who do they have? They have coaches, they have their team to train with, right? Scrimmage partners, right? So again, that's why your network is extremely important at the beginning. Now let's go back here. So ecom, like I decided to get into that, right? And then I just realized that it just way too much time for you to try to make it work out, right? The time, if it's like very long timeline, is going to take you. The learning curve for it too is honestly not, you know simple or easy. And again, investment wise, you need to save up a couple grand to even make ecom work out, because you need to spend on ads, test products, suppliers, right, and all that stuff. And even TikTok Shop right now, if you really have to look into it, it's not the best way to get into like financial freedom, or to just become financially free. It's not the most time friendly. Am I saying that it's not it's not gonna work out? It's probably gonna work out. It's just gonna take it much more longer. And difficultiness, again, it's much more higher. I don't just generally don't think it's a beginner friendly route, because I've done it and I've gotten a couple of sales. But if you see someone's screenshot dashboard of their e-com store, that's like, okay, well, what's the actual take home profit of that? Majority of the time, you spend so much money on ads, you still have to consider and count the suppliers, right? The product cost itself, right? And then again, you have to, if you're gonna do branded e-com, it's not really friendly, especially if you're going to this route of you're working a regular 9 to 5 job, and you're trying to just make your extra couple grand to even potentially make money online, and then go to this route, just go to a different country, right? And all that stuff, right? So it's just not, honestly, the difficulty is just way too hard if you were to get into ecom. I would say this is more of like, okay, once I've gotten my foot in the door, then you do that, right? And I've seen this time and time again. If you want to set yourself up for success, and if you were to look at all of the programs there, especially me now, I've been in the high ticket sales game, where I help coaches, consultants close deals for them. I've been in the education e-learning space for the past couple of years now, and the offers that helps people get into ecom, majority of the time, the ones with the highest success rate are usually the ones that already has business acumen, meaning they've had a business already and they transition to the e-commerce space, right? The e-commerce, selling, products, building the infrastructure to actually have a supplier, building the brand, the messaging, and all that stuff, right? Extremely difficult. Um, but if it's a complete beginner, the chances are extremely slim for them to go from a 9 to 5 or to quit their job fully, right? So that's one that I tried out. And then next up that I tried was trading. So trading is just practically the stock market, the S&P 500 and all that good stuff, New York Stock Exchange. Practically, I did options trading for this. So it's technically like, okay, like let's say the the stock that you're trading is worth $5 right now, and then you can get a leverage contract for it, and it can go up or high or low. And technically, it's times 100 shares. It's a long story, but technically, options I did more leverage way, because that's kind of like, if you want to make it work out, then it's going to be much more easier if you do options to actually make some money here. Here's what I'm gonna say. In terms of time, you can honestly make a lot of money on trading. So I would say like you could make money in a short time here. And then in terms of that, you do need a couple grand to start as well to get some profit. But for me personally, I started with like 2 grand. We're saving up money here, and then I joined a couple Discord groups for signals, and then I didn't end up investing here. It's all self-taught. Difficultiness, I would say, is extremely high. Again, to make some money here. But the biggest thing that I don't like about trading is borderline gambling, because you're basing your decisions from, charts or how the market's going, and you're literally competing with people in the boiler rooms in New York, and they literally consider one tick like $1 million, or I forgot how much it was exactly. And their information is so much more vast than you, right? And then they're trading in much more, their trading power is much more higher than you. So as a day trader, you can make money, and I've made money on here, but there's just so much risk involved to it that you're practically paying, you're having to um, put up so much money up front to actually make money, right? And again, I could go on and go on. I did marketing agency as well. I did the SMMA. I did a bunch of stuff, if I'm being honest with you guys, to get here, right? And then again, the biggest thing here in SMMA, time wise, it's gonna take you a lot of time. Here is actually good where you don't really need a lot of money to start a marketing agency, right? So, for example, for me, the very first client, it took, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, the very first client for my marketing agency, it took me roughly around 8 months for me to just sign my very first client, right? And it was just a low ticket client. And then my high paying client that paid me 2K a month took me roughly around 12 to 13 months, right? And again, that's going from me at high school, working a regular 9 to 5 job, studying, doing mindset, work on myself, all these things. It took me that long to sign my very first client that's paying me 2K a month for, after 3 months. Difficultiness is not beginner friendly. Like, if someone's telling you that marketing agencies is easy to start, it's not, right? And again, this is where a lot of people got a lot of misconception about just making money online. There's a lot of opportunity vehicles out there, but you have to always weigh in the risk, the uh, the um the variables for you to become successful here, right? So in marketing agency, the biggest flaw or the biggest roadblock that I faced is the fulfillment part, right? Meaning, like, the YouTubers out there that says that marketing agency is the best way to get a 10K a month. Yes, it's you could probably get a 10K a month in marketing agency, but the problem here is, yes, they can say, oh, it's gonna be a monthly recurring revenue. That sounds good, but they're not telling you that the churn rate, the average churn rate for a low, a beginner marketing agency is practically like extremely short. You're not going to keep that marketing agency client for a very long time, especially if you're a beginner. Meaning, first month, if you don't do really well in fulfillment, you're practically a glorified freelancer. That's what's happening right now, right? And again, I feel like it works, but you need to have some type of skill set at this point. Like, you have some business acumen already to become successful in marketing agency. You can't just go hire a third world country VA to do your fulfillment, right? Again, you can, but again, you have to train them up. You have to create SOPs, right? And again, you have to worry about the business acquisition, meaning you have to do sales, you have to pick your niche and all these things. Yes, it's cool. You can make money off of it, but again, I just don't think it's the most beginner friendly or the most efficient way to make money. And again, I wanted to share to you guys that this information that I shared to you right now, it took me 4 years to figure out, right? And what I'm about to show you to right now is my favorite way to actually become financially free in my 20s, right? And the way I made my very first 10K month is through high ticket sales, or specifically high ticket closing. And again, my entire content really literally revolves around high ticket sales or high ticket. And for you to get started here, it doesn't cost anything, right? Time wise, yes, it does require a lot of time. But once you get really good and you acquire the skill set, right, then there are people that's literally just working 2 to 4 hours a day, and they're making anywhere between 8 to 12K a month, right? And then you're not practically still a business owner, but The difficulty here, it's medium. It's not really that hard going from a 9 to 5 job, especially if you're working at customer service, or you're required to speak to clients or people who goes in, or maybe you're a bank teller or whatever, right? It's not hard for you to transition from working fully remotely, because now, again, going back to this cycle we just did, you're gonna regain a lot of your time back because you're making roughly around the same amount. Like, let's say you could easily make 3 to 5K a month in high ticket sales. And what happens is you got more time back, then you gain more time back, then allows you to actually think about what are the next moves that you can make. And then here, more time back means more skills that you can learn. Then you can eventually do your e-com, your trading, your marketing agency if you want to go that pathway, right? And then the best part about high ticket closing as well is you could practically get these courses, these mentorships completely for free if you become their closers for that company, right? And you literally just learn a bunch of different business models completely for free if you become a closer for them. And that's how I was able to actually become financially free and work remotely, is by becoming a closer for these companies who's selling, the e-learning space. Because right now the e-learning space itself, it's valued at eLearn. It's valued at $320 billion, right? And the thing here is there's going to be someone who's always selling a course or a mentorship or a program, and not a lot of people, they can't just simply manage all of those people who are interested to join their program, right? And there's billions and billions of people. And honestly, the smartest way or the most efficient way to go about this is master a skill set first, master the skill stack first. Here's what I would do, right? I'll do a skill set, master the skill sets first, right? So sales, marketing, fulfillment, all of these things you can literally learn in high ticket sales, because you can literally look at their back end on how they do their fulfillment and all this stuff, right? Once you learn the skill set, then you can go ahead and, slowly quit your job. Yeah, quit the 9 to 5. Then you regain some time back on your end, right? So you regain some time back, and then what it allows this more time, right? More time means more time to learn, because again, the main focus is to acquire a skill set. And once you become more knowledgeable, guess what happens? You attract the right people, and then you become more knowledgeable, then you have more options, right? To actually build the circle and build the business and get more feedback. Because the goal is to get much more feedback to the like-minded individuals, right? And then the paradigm that you're operating with is going to be much more abundant, right? So for example, if you were to look at Elon Musk, right? So he went into the rocket spaceship building industry, which is just practically NASA, right? And during that time when he was getting into building SpaceX, if I'm not mistaken, it costed a couple. I think it was like 4 or 5 million to build like a small rocket, like a test rocket, or maybe more expensive than that. I think it's 12, 15. I forgot exactly how much it was. You guys can look it up. I read it in this book. It's been a couple of years since I've read his book. But technically, he practically cut the cost of building a rocket for a couple mil compared to like 12, 20 mil each rocket. And the reason being is he was surrounded with extremely smart individuals, right? Bright individuals, great engineers. And, they literally had to think and break it down to first principles. And this could be another video I could make. But practically what they did is they looked at here. I'm gonna draw this. This is what they did, right? So Elon Musk, they were building rockets. This is a rocket. Let's just say that's a rocket, right? That's a rocket. Costed I forgot honestly how much it was, but it's like 10 million to like 20 million to make just one rocket. And then they got it down to like single digit milli. Like I don't know, it's like I think it's now it's like 1 million to 5 million. I could be wrong, but again, I forgot. But the lesson is they made it extremely cheap because again, what they did was they realized that there's so many middlemen, right? To get the parts to build the rocket, and that's what's bumping up the price. And then eventually they went direct and then built it their own, and then started just getting the ingredients or like the materials to actually build the rocket, right? And then they made it cheaper, and then now the industry standard is much more cheaper. But why am I saying this? So this same concept right now, right? I don't know how long it's gonna last in the e-learning space, right? E-learning space right now, what we're seeing is $320 billion industry, and there's people that are like business owners who's teaching and sharing their knowledge now, right? And they're they're selling some people are selling packages that costed even 10K all the way to 50K, but on average a high ticket service could cost between 3 to 5K, right? And the thing now is these people needs help to sell these services, right? Needs help to sell the services if they want to scale to much more higher heights. And the thing is, right now we're in a point where when Elon Musk entered the spaceship building stuff, this is how much it costed, right? So now we're able to leverage the the early or like the wild west um you know stage of the e-learning industry. It's a new industry, right? Not a lot of is it because one of the things is if you're to compare it to its parent, which is the college, the price of college is like 100,000, 100 grand on average, or like if you go a 2 year degree, associate's degree, it's like a 40 grand, 60 grand, whatever, right? And that's technically like 20, 50x of how much it is, right? And what e-learning does is it practically cuts all of the middlemen and just goes straight to the one who knows what they're doing. You're not just learning from a person who's just teaching you ideologies, or they're actually in the field. So, for example, again, way back then, if you wanted to become a blacksmith, then guess what happens? You go to a blacksmith, ask him, "Hey, can I be your apprentice?" Right? Even now, like there's apprenticeship, right? So there's another thing, right? So now we're seeing a lot of people, influx of people who's actually teaching their knowledge of what they know and how to build a business, and they're just practically charging for a fraction of it. Yeah, it's not what's that called? It's not regulated yet by the government, but is allowing direct connection to people like this to get the information, the pure information, that's up to date information, right? In the e-learning space. So that's what we're taking advantage of right now, right? And it's what's allowing people to make so much money, and that's why it's growing year over year. It's simply because people are waking up now. Like, okay, well, what are the ways you can make money online, and what are the ways on how we can become more efficient as human beings? Because for it doesn't really take you 4 years, right? There's a study done where to become efficient to a specific topic, it only takes you roughly around pure 10, 20 hours of actual studying to become like efficient for on that specific topic. And then these courses or services we're selling, it's like 3 month long, 6 month long, couple grand, right? It's much more lower risk with a higher reward. So that's why high ticket closing is like on the run right now. And then if you were wanting to transition again to the online space or just quitting your 9 to 5 job, this is one of the most efficient way to do it. It's like learn the skill set 9 to 5, right? And then after that is you know get into sales or learn copywriting, marketing, just one aspect of skill sets. But obviously for me, I got into sales first. I would recommend this book called Ready, Fire, Aim, or I think it's I have it in my back. Ready, fire, aim. Yeah, so ready, fire, aim. It talks about the four stages of a business, and usually it only requires either 0 to 1 million a year. The main thing that you need to learn is sales. That's why I'm so biased towards sales, is because if you were to look at all the people that become successful, sales is the best route for you to learn and the skill set that allows you to actually become financially free. And if you were to notice this as well, right? Um, Majority of successful people, they start some type of sales role, right? And again, now this could be another topic as well, but there's so many ways for you to get into sales, right? There's door-to-door sales, insurance sales. Now you have to ask the question, what is the best way to acquire the skill set, right? And then again, I would argue that getting to high ticket sales is the best way to do this, right? And again, I have another video in my YouTube channel for this, but if you want to learn why is the best way, go check it out. I go There's a bunch of videos that I have there. I would highly suggest it. And again, this is just a common pattern that I always see from people that's in their early 20s and they make a lot of money, is going online remotely, take advantage of the wild wild west right now. And if you were to look again on the Silicon Valley when the dot-com bubble had, what were people doing? They're building like businesses in the website industry, right? And now we're experiencing the same growth in the e-learning space. And that's why I'm so bullish about it. It's because it has the same mannerism and behaviors on how, when the online or the internet just got invented, right? A lot of people were kind of skeptical about it. A lot of people weren't trusting, even like when credit cards or like and then there was cheap chip readers had, like, they were like, oh, cash is king, cash is king, like no one's gonna use that. It's just sharing your information to others, extremely risky. And look at where everyone is now. Like, no one's even using straight up cash anymore. It's just like credit cards and debit cards, right? So it's the same pattern that I'm seeing right now in terms of the e-learning industry and getting into the high ticket sales space. Is, look, number one, there's people that are still skeptics about it. Number two, right? If you were to look at the most efficient way to get into remote, to become financially free, the options is either start a business, or you go out there and go to the route of get a certificate for a specific job, and you can make money that way, but you'll be restricted on a specific location and you can't go travel, right? So those are a couple of stuff that I always take in consideration myself when I was getting into this space, right? So for me, that's what I did as skill set, did the sales, and then eventually, what I did is I got into remote sales, right? And then I started my own consulting business. That's what I did, consulting business. And a lot of people are saying, like, well, why don't I just start that now? Well, here's the point. You can't do what I'm doing right now because you haven't acquired the results and you haven't acquired the knowledge yet to do it. But be my guest, once you become successful, you have results, then go ahead. Go start your own consulting business. All right, and that could be another business, or like another pathway I see a lot of people take. Some of my clients did, is that's when they started doing their own business. Because now, if we're gonna go here, right now they have the skill set, or where is it? No, it's not that. Uh, Now they have time and they have the money to actually focus on developing their skill, and eventually they have the network to start either in e-com, right? So one of my clients, this is exactly what he did is he was working a job, he was in college, he was doing a bunch of side hustles, and then he went all in sales, made a couple of grand there, saved up some money, learn the skill set itself, know how to actually build a business, and then he got into e-com, right? And now he's starting his own consulting business as well, right? So that's honestly the fastest way that I've got, and the most efficient way to become financially free in your 20s. I know this is a bit like long-winded, it's a bit more packed, and I know like there's a lot of information I'm giving you guys right now, but that is simply how I was able to get to where I'm at now, is by learning and mastering a skill set. So if we were to do a summary of this entire thing, right? So let me, if I was to do a summary of this entire thing, it's number one, right? The money that you gain right now, invest it into information and network, right? And then after that, learn skills, and then eventually build a business. You have to do it in the way where it's gonna be much more efficient, right? Because you can go do what I did, which is meaning go try a bunch of stuff for 3 years straight, and then eventually just make the do just go backtrack to build a good foundation, right? Or you could just go straight, learn the skill set, skill stack, and then eventually build your business, right? So that, and then eventually for me is again, remote sales or high ticket sales, right? Remote sales, HTC, get into that, and then eventually business, right? So timelines for this. So number one, if I'm assuming you're in a 9 to 5 job, I wouldn't quit right on the get go. What I would do is I'll go from your 9 to 5 job, right? And then go learn some skill set, learn the skill set, learn skill. At this point, work on yourself, self development journey, right? Little self development journey. I would take this serious to 5 to 6 months. Right. This is not a overnight thing, but I'm giving you guys the genuine thing on what I did. 5 to 6 months, invest into yourself, learn skills, and eventually, um, once you're confident in yourself, then I would start taking action, heavy actions, and then like go part time at your job. Part time. The goal here is to get proof of concept. Proof of concept. Here, the goal here is to gain discipline and mastery within yourself, right? Because really, that's the only hurdle a lot of people face. Because 9 to 5 job is you have a lot of limiting beliefs. You have a lot of beliefs that doesn't serve you that you need to unlearn. A lot of unlearning stuff. And eventually, once you're able to get some proof of concept, I would go full time now on pursuing your dreams, and then maybe move to a different country or whatever you want. This is one of my good friends did. Is what he did is he was a college student, gotten some proof of concept, moved to Thailand for a couple months, and then eventually went to Philippines, and then the money just go much more higher there. And the goal here now is build your network, right? And eventually, once you have that, you can either start your own business or your mini consulting business over here. So 5 to 6 months, usually from this point forward, should take you 1 to 2 months, and it just varies. I could be, some people make it is faster, some people is shorter, but again, you have to know yourself first, and that's the biggest hurdle a lot of people have is you realize that you don't even know your skill sets, your natural skill sets, and all that stuff. Now once you're able to go part time from your regular 9 to 5 job, save up some bread, go full time, right? Here, and then eventually stack up some cash here, move to a different country, right? And then usually this takes within, it just depends. It could take from 6 to 12 months to do this, right? And then starting a business, right, is the transition, and then that could be like forever. This is lifetime, lifetime of building and self development eventually. And usually that's like the pathway I'm taking right now. Like I wouldn't share you guys um something I've never done myself. But technically this is what I've done so far to get where I'm at, and this is what has helped me honestly to get where I'm at. So in summary, right, that's exactly what I did to, let me move this here. Boom, boom. That's practically what I did to get where I'm at now, right? The most efficient pathway to become financially in your 20s. Again, hope you guys found something valuable in today's video. If you guys have any question, let me know in the comment section below. If you want to learn more and get started in your journey, I have more free stuff. Check it out in the description below. And again, if you want more handheld one-on-one support, check out the description below. I practically share to you guys on how to work with me. I have a couple more spots left for this month. Just depending on when you're watching this. If you're not apply, work with me closely. Check the description below. But as always, you guys can just go run away. I'm gonna just keep bringing value. If you guys have any more recommendation, let me know in the description below as well. Comment it down below. When I join our free community, it's down below as well. But as always, be a creator, not a consumer. Create something today that will inspire you and others. See ya.